Uh, I thought the first half, our level of persistence was good, and it was consistent. Things stalled out some in the third quarter. I got to look at it. I haven't looked at any of the film yet, but the series is 1/7 over, and game two will be monumentally more difficult than this one.
Myles Turner, several big plays in that third quarter. How did that help you guys survive that buck stretch in the second half?
Well, around the rim, he's a big factor, and he got some big rebounds, and he hit some important shots. And so, the important thing for us is when we attack, trying to find the right shots. We fell into a thing in the second half where we took some shots that were shots, but they weren't the best shots for us. And Milwaukee had a lot to do with it. So as you look at things from game to game, that'll certainly be one of the adjustments that we make.
That was my last question, but what else would you like to see some improvement in as it goes to game 2 on Tuesday?
A lot of things. I mean, Giannis got to the basket too much. We're trying to build walls. He's still getting there. And he's a great player, and great players cause, collateral problems. And so it's not a surprise, but, we got to look at that. We foul them a lot. We've got to cut down on fouls, and we'll see. I mean, the ebbs and flows of a series are so up and down. It's impossible to predict exactly what's going to happen from game to game.
That being said, obviously you go into this knowing Giannis is probably going to score. I imagine one of the biggest things you want to do is make sure he's not getting double-figure assists like he was. He only had one. Obviously, you were able to hold everybody else to better than manageable numbers. I mean, how did you like how you managed to make life at least a little bit difficult on him and make sure that nobody else was beating you?
Well, I mean, their shooters got going in the second half, and that's a concern. Now, some of those shots weren't necessarily coming off the first pass, but he had some hockey assists on those. So, we got to look at all that stuff. In an NBA game with great players, you can't take away everything. So we got to keep working on making it hard. And then look, from game to game, there's no telling who's going to be available from a personnel standpoint. We got to be ready for Dame to come back, and a whole host of things.
Obviously, Ben Mathurin and Jarris Walker, basically Ben playing his first playoff minutes, Jarris playing kind of his first most really meaningful, playoff minutes. What did you like about this? The contributions you got, especially from both of them in the first half.
I think they both did a very solid job out there. Mathurin's offense in the first half was a big factor. He had drives. He was active around the basket and cuts. Jarris hit a big shot. It's great for those guys to jump right into the deep end. Against a seasoned veteran playoff team in Milwaukee. I mean, they got a lot of guys that played a lot of playoff games, and to feel what it's like. The second half was a little bit different for everybody. It just. They went more zone. They got it slowed down a little bit, and so the game's going to feel different. It's going to be different, and so we got to look at that. But overall, I was very happy for them. It was a great opportunity for them to get right into it, and some very good things happened.
Remember last year you guys made a point of telling Drew that there was going to be scoring opportunities there, even in this series and the playoffs in general. And obviously, you attacked right out of the gate. Just what did you like about his approach, especially early on scoring the basketball?
Everybody on our team's got to be armed and dangerous, to score. Striking the right balance is everything for our team. And so as we get into this and you go from game to game, there's going to be different storylines. There's going to be different skirmishes during the game. There's going to be all kinds of that stuff. We've got to maintain a level head and a high level of aggression while also maintaining poise.
Rick, Tyrese struggled shooting the ball tonight, but what'd you like about his overall game and still obviously doing what he normally does, getting guys involved?
Yeah, I don't worry about his shooting. it took a while for him to get on the board, but every team is going to be trying to make life miserable for him, and he understands it, and he's developed a really good discipline and patience when teams, try to take him out of it early. So, I'll have to look at the whole game to be really, really able to give you a global answer on that. But I thought he balanced things very well, and I thought defensively, his attention to detail was very good in this game, and it's got to be very good for everybody because these guys cause so many problems, and we're talking about a game where Lillard didn't even play yet, so there'll be a lot going on as we move forward.
Rick, you mentioned the other day that Pascal has understated greatness. What do you mean by that? What makes him understated and great at the same time?
Well, I mean, I think the average person watching the game wouldn't presume that he was 10 for 15 with 25 points. I mean, I think that's it. And a lot of his baskets come at in timely parts of the game, and for some reason they kind of get overlooked a little bit, But that's part of his grace as a competitor, and so he's obviously very, very important to us.
Momentum, carried, I think, great through Gamebridge today. When you start the game off hitting shots and getting the crowd into the game, works well in your favor. So I think we did a good job of establishing the way we wanted to play early and then, defensively just flying around.
How's you held them to 98? What did you like about what you guys did defensively today?
I think we just made them be decision makers. At the end of the day, it's not a one-man job guarding Giannis or some of the better players over there. It's a team effort. I got to give a lot of credit to Pascal Siakam. To carry the offensive load and also the defensive load like that. It's going to be daunting. It's a tough going on all series, but we got his back.
Myles, you had 4 blocks today. You had the one in the third quarter on Giannis where the crowd just goes crazy. What do moments like that in a playoff game do for a team?
Momentum changers or momentum shifters at that. I think it's huge, especially when you're at home. You have to keep the crowd into the game. It's a big part of the playoffs, something I've learned just in my experience because, momentum plays a huge part in just, I guess, our style of play as well.
And then I saw Matherin had 9 of his 13 in the second quarter. How do you think he handled his playoff debut and the boost that he gave you off the bench?
I loved it. I think he's a very poised individual. I told him before the game, my only real advice for you is just to lose yourself in the moment and don't have any expectations. When you start setting expectations for yourself, especially for your first playoff series, that can lead to disappointment that doesn't even need to be there in the first place. So I think he did a good job of staying poised, and he played a great second half.
I'll apologize if you got asked this one already, but imagine going into this, Giannis is probably going to get his points, but you're trying to obviously make life hard on him, but mostly make sure he's not getting a ton of assists by getting a lot of open threes for other guys. What did you guys like about kind of your complete defensive game plan, especially holding them to 2 of 16 from 3 in the first half?
I think it was decent. We definitely have areas to improve. I think we fouled way too much. I think we missed time, some of our doubles as well. So overall, I think it was a good to get our baseline. That's what game one's all about. Get your baseline, you make your adjustments, you improve from there. So I'm glad that we got a dose of where we're at right now. Then, we watch film, we have 2 days evaluating them, we make our adjustments from there.
So obviously you were able to hit, I think, 4 or 6 from 3. Just how important is that for you in this series to be able to get some clean looks and knock some of those down?
Yeah, floor spacing is very important in the playoffs. It just provides room for everybody to work, and just me shooting the ball with confidence is something I've done for a long time now. So I'll just continue to keep picking and choosing my spots, when to be aggressive, and mixing them in.
Myles, you've obviously been with this franchise for a long time now. You've been through a lot of playoff experience here. What does it mean to have this crowd behind you in the playoffs?
It's unbelievable, man. I think I was just talking to JJ about it. Just be able to hit the first shot. My first home series, opener series, whatever you want to call it, was really cool, man. It's the moments like this I don't take for granted. And my whole family's here. Everybody's watching back home, and I understand the support of Indiana. So, just to be the one that's seen the highs and the lows, and I think it's a beautiful thing to build. You know what I mean? I think a lot of guys can, get to organization, when they're hot or jump around. And I've seen this thing from the bottom, and it's a very special moment. But we still have a long way to go, man. It's just one game down, and 15 more.
Andrew Nimhart had a big first half. What did you like about his performance?
I just think that he set the tone for us. Getting downhill, I think he went right at Brooke a couple of times, and when he's a very heady guard. I think people don't realize how strong he is, until you see the results. So I like the way he established himself defensively, and I like offensively how he just didn't settle.
Last one for me, Myles. When it comes to Pascal, 25 and 7 tonight.
Yeah.
How much do you appreciate just his steadiness? I mean, it doesn't always maybe look like it's the most explosive game. Then you look up and it's like, okay, he's got another 20 again.
He's very consistent. Pascal is someone who's going to he knows his spots on the floor, and we know where to give him the ball on the floor. So a lot of the time it's just him being patient and making reads, and I think he's done a phenomenal job since he's been here. You know, honestly, even since last playoffs, of just dissecting the defense and you know, even just making tough shots. So no, like, got to give a lot of credit to him tonight. I said he carried both sides of the ball.
I mean, I think you know, every time you step on the floor, you want to take care of business. I thought, you know, our energy was good in the beginning. Just sticking to the game plan, doing what we're supposed to do. Just, you know, just playing as a team, communicating. I thought we did that well. I mean, in the first half, obviously, third quarter, you know, it wasn't the best, but I thought we came back and you know, corrected some of those things. Got some important stops when we needed them and when we couldn't get a bucket. But yeah, no, I think it feels good to get, you know, the first game, but you know, as we know, is, you know, for us to get 4, so that's the happy to get this one. Go back, watch film, correct the things that we didn't do right, and we know they're gonna make some adjustment. They're gonna come back, you know, and we gotta just be ready for that.
You had the assignment a few times, but it is a team effort. What did you like about the way you guys defended Giannis, and what do you need to do better in that matchup in Game 2?
I mean, it's a tough coverage. Just, you know, he's coming downhill. It's you gotta, you know, do the best you can. He's really good at getting to the paint, getting to the rim. He's strong. He's physical. So it's gonna take a lot. And you know, I thought we did a decent job, but he got, you know, a lot of, you know, easy buckets there too. And you know, we just gotta continue to make it as hard as we can on him. It's a tough job for sure.
You mentioned that third quarter, but is there anything specifically you'd like to see improvement from you guys in Game 2?
I think for us, just continue to, you know, make it look crowded out there. Get to shooters. You know, some of the shooters got loose. We know they can do that. So we gotta try to. Obviously, it's hard because you gotta be there to help for Giannis and then get to shooters. But we gotta get to them. And I thought we could have done that a little better than that too. And just even on defense, they scored 98. I still thought there was possessions there that we just didn't do what we were supposed to do, and we got to correct that for sure.
You were just talking about getting out of the shooters. I mean, obviously, they were 2 of 16 in the first half. I mean,
Yeah.
do you look at that and say, man, there were ones they could have hit, or do you look at it and say, okay, was there something you feel like you guys did really well?
No, I mean, I think we got to make it hard. We got to make it hard, and like I said, it's a tough job because you know, we got to do both. Try to stop Giannis and also get to shooters, and we just got to make sure that we contest them. And like I said, it's basketball, you know, and you know, they just got to live with the results. But as long as our process is good, which I thought in certain instances it wasn't, as long as we get that down, we'll be okay.
You talked about him getting downhill. Obviously, you guys have pressed full court a lot, and you did that a lot less on him. What makes that the right move to be able to kind of be back and be set against him?
Yeah, I mean, he's fast, so
yeah,
you gotta make sure that, you know, you there, and it's a hard job. He's athletic, and you know, he can do it all. So, kind of just make sure you're in the right spot, and don't want him to just blow by you, you know. So I think that's those precautions you have to take.
So obviously you go 10 for 15 for 25 in this game, get shots from a bunch of different areas. Just what did you like about your own approach and how you managed to find, you know, shots in the spots that you like?
Yeah, just trying to get to my spots, playing the game the way it's supposed to, just simple, not a lot of, you know, thinking, just play the game. And at this point of the year, like, it doesn't matter, like, you know, next game, you know, time I go for 30, you know, like it doesn't matter. I think as long as we play the right way and we get the shots that we're supposed to get and the shots that we want to get, I think, you know, that's what's important. And for me, I just gotta try to stay aggressive on both sides of the floor, and have an impact in the game, and it's just not scoring, you know, it's everything else. And yeah, like it was a decent game.
What did you like on and off the ball from Drew defensively today?
Yeah, Drew was aggressive from the jump. I like his, you know, when he's aggressive, getting downhill. Like I always tell him that, like he's one of the best at doing that. Like he you know, he can get downhill. And also we know what he can do on defense. Like he you know, yeah, he's a special player, and I just love the way, how aggressive it was, and from the jump, and we need that from him.
You were without Matherin all last year. Today he played some pretty crucial minutes. What did you think about his first playoff experience and first playoff minutes?
Yeah, no, it was great. I thought Ben was great. He did a good job on defense. I liked his approach on that, just picking up full court, guarding, and we know how talented he is, and I think at the end of the day, like, it's just making sure that we put him in position to be successful, and for himself, just keeping the game simple. And I thought he did that today, and I'm sure that's not the best we're going to see from him for sure.
Pascal, the cameras caught you and Dame telling you all how much you love each other. But how much do you think moments like that, seriously, when you're competing and maybe talking trash, whatever, just how much do you welcome that come playoff time?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say about that. I think it's just, it's a lot of talking at the end of the day. I just want to hoop. I want to play ball, and obviously, we know it's the playoffs and it's extra, and all of that. But I'm focused on the game. Like, I want us to continue to, do the things that we're doing, and trying to go out there and win games, and do it the hard way, and do it, together. And to be honest, like, that's what I'm focused on. Like, all the other stuff is, it's not my focus.